I think so.
No, she didn't. She didn't take her laptop.
Good evening and again, welcome to this June 23rd meeting now for the Lake Bluff Village Board of Trustees. Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Fisher,
Here.
trustee Fried,
Here.
trustee Hatch,
Here.
Thank you.
trustee Ryder.
The writer is here.
Thank you. Next is our Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand and join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flags of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next on our agenda is the Kalea Award representation. So since the first Commission on Accreditation for law enforcement agencies, the Accreditation Award was granted in 1984. Kalea is the, let me restart a little bit. Kalea is a certification process that qualifies our police department for following processes. I believe 128 processes. And we are getting together because we were awarded this next Kalea award. That is typically awarded to bigger organizations, bigger villages, bigger towns than Lake Bluff. So since the first Commission on Accreditation for Law Enforcement Agencies, Kalea Accreditation Award was granted in 1984. This program has become the primary method for an agency to voluntarily demonstrate their commitment to excellence in law enforcement. The standards upon which the law enforcement accreditation program is based reflect the current thinking and experience of law enforcement practitioners and researchers, major law enforcement associations, leading educational and training institutions, governmental agencies, as well as law enforcement executives internationally, acknowledge the Kalea standards for law enforcement as an accreditation program as benchmark for professional law enforcement agencies. As you may recall, Kalea initially accredited the Lake Bluff Department in 1999. Successful re-accreditation requires the Lake Bluff Police Department to comply with 185 standards. I'm sorry, I said 128, 185 standards. On December 9, 2024, an assessor from Kalea examined all aspects of the Lake Bluff Police Department operations, policies, procedures, investigation practices, disaster plans, in-custody procedures, and personal policies that were reviewed by the Kalea assessor. The assessor reviewed written material, conducted interviews with employees and other through the community, and I was part of that. The assessor completed his review of the agency on December 11, 2024, and delivered his report attached, you can find this online, to the full Kalea Commission, which awarded re-accredited status on March 22nd, 2025. This is Lake Bluff's 9th Kalea accreditation, and it is pretty nice. Thank you so much. Sir.
Good evening, President Charlot, members of the Board of Trustees, Village Administrator Irvin, and Chief Smazinski. My name is Dr. Shannon Gillette, and I am proud to serve as a delegate to the Commission on Accreditation for Law Enforcement Agencies. Tonight, I have the privilege of presenting the Village of Lake Bluff and its Police Department with its 2025 Kalea Law Enforcement Accreditation Certificate. I'm currently a program director in the Department of Justice, Law, and Public Safety Studies at Lewis University and retired as Chief of Police in 2023 after a rewarding 29-plus year career in the village of Downers Grove. And as President Charlot mentioned about the early accreditation experiences of agencies. The Village of Downers Grove was the first municipal agency in DuPage County to be CALIA accredited. CALIA was created in 1979 through a partnership between the International Association of Chiefs of Police, the National Sheriff's Association, the National Organization of Black Law Enforcement Executives, and the Police Executive Research Forum. These founding organizations recognized the need to develop a uniform set of professional standards to enhance the delivery of police services. The standards were created through collaboration between public safety leaders, local and state government officials, as well as members of the judiciary and academia. The goals of CALIA accreditation include strengthening our approach to crime-related issues, formalizing essential management procedures, establishing fair and non-discriminatory personnel practices, solidifying interagency cooperation and collaboration, and increasing community and staff confidence in the agency. As mentioned, the Lake Bluff Police Department was last accredited in March of 2020. Since then, 4 comprehensive annual web-based assessments were conducted by CALIA staff. Those staff members evaluated the department's adherence to over 185 professional standards. Then, in December of 2024, the Lake Bluff Police Department hosted a 4-day on-site assessment. Dr. Michael Webb, who is a former law enforcement executive and currently Director of Innovation at Capella University, visited the department over those 4 days to observe the operations, interview employees, and probably most importantly, to interact with community members who were willing to share their experiences interacting with the Lake Bluff Police Department. In his final report, Dr. Webb highlighted the agency's community-focused approach to policing. He wrote that the department demonstrates the value of collaboration in building trust, enhancing public safety, and reinforcing the bond between law enforcement and the communities they serve. At the commission meeting held in Garden Grove, California in March of 2025, CALIA commissioners reviewed the agency's final report, interviewed Chief Smozinski, and unanimously approved the department's 9th consecutive award for law enforcement accreditation. And again, as mentioned, the Lake Bluff Police Department has been CALIA accredited since 1999. So as an agency that's been accredited for 15 or more consecutive years, the commission also awarded the department meritorious status. Meritorious agencies are recognized for their ongoing long-term commitment to public transparency, to accountability, and to continual improvement. I would like to recognize Chief Smozinski, Accreditation Manager Sergeant Thomas Vinson, and Police Clerk Lisa Robin for their instrumental role in the accreditation process. But it's also important to remember that they did not do that alone, that it takes an entire department to represent their community, takes an entire department to develop that culture of excellence. And truly, the CALIA certificate is more than a plaque that hangs on a wall. It is a testament to the service of every individual employed by the Lake Bluff Police Department. And as elected officials, you can be confident that the resources you provide are an investment into a police department that strives to provide the highest level of service to those who live in, work in, and visit the village of Lake Bluff. So once again, on behalf of CALIA and Commission Chair Chief Matthew Packard, I am honored to present the Lake Bluff Police Department with its 2025 Certificate of Law Enforcement Accreditation. Congratulations.
If I may. Thank you to everyone here tonight and to our board and to everyone who helps us. If you really want to know what CALIA is about, please don't hesitate to give me a call. I can spare about 3 hours and explain the whole process to you. But for those who, just to be brief, and especially as a small agency, small community, this is a lot of work but it means a lot to us, right? This is large departments. You're seeing like, your Arlington Heights, your Naperville. These are a lot of departments that are CLIA accredited, and they have like people and teams doing all this work, where it's us doing this because we understand and appreciate the value and importance of this for our community, right? So this is a great award. We appreciate everyone. We appreciate the board, and we're going to continue to work hard as we move forward to our next accreditation cycle. So thank you.
Next on our agenda is the consideration of the minutes of June 9th, 2025 Village Board meeting. Is there a motion to approve these minutes?
So moved. Second.
Are there any changes to these minutes? Any comments, accuracy, typos? It is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? And the motion carries. Thank you very much. Next on our agenda are the non-agenda items and visitors. The village president and board of trustees allocate 15 minutes during this item for those individuals who would like the opportunity to address the village board of trustees on any matter not listed on the agenda. Each person addressing the village board of trustees is asked to limit their comments to a maximum of 5 minutes. Please come and address the board. Please state your name and your address. Thank you.
Aye. Back.
Good evening, Mayor Charlotte and Board. My name is Jan Bartolai. I live at 29631 North Birch Avenue. It's in the I'm a Lake Bluff resident, as well as a resident of the Sanctuary neighborhood. We'd like to thank Mayor Charlotte, Mr. Irvin, and Ms. Gable for attending 3 different meetings with regard to an M3 zoning change in our neighborhood. It's opposite our neighborhood in North Chicago. People were given a legal notice from North Chicago because several of our homes are within 250 feet of EMCO Chemical Packaging Company. On April 14th, we approached the zoning board of North Chicago, and we were actually successful. They agreed that this was a bad situation for all concerned, all neighbors, North Chicago, Lake Bluff, Knollwood, and they voted to deny this M3 zoning change. However, at the subsequent council meetings of North Chicago, they overrode the zoning's board recommendation, and they passed this M3 zoning change. So we're still concerned. It's a 55,000 square foot building. Anything can go in there now because M3 is heavy industrial types of businesses. And right now, for myself, I'm not worried necessarily about what, something in the future, but I'm worried about the present tenant, EMCO Chemical Packaging Company. Since 2019, EMCO Chemical Packaging Plant has been operating there. On their website, this chemical packaging plant states they have 3 hazardous materials warehouses. This is one of them. They house flammable, corrosive, and toxic materials. They go on to list approximately 40 different chemicals they can handle. The first one in their list is, and this is going to be difficult to say, but polyisocyanate activators and catalysts. Isocyanates are known to be carcinogens. According to their websites, they have tanks and equipment to handle orders from 55,000 to 18,000 gallon drums. We're naturally concerned about the air quality for all of Lake Bluff and our Knollwood and North Chicago neighbors, especially given the recent ethylene oxide toxic emission suits that came out of Waukegan and Medline. After decades of breathing in this colorless, odorless, toxic emission, people began to have statistically significant cases of cancer. That was just one toxic chemical. We have a choice of a smorgasbord of 40 possible different chemicals that could be in this building at any one time. Our sanctuary neighborhood does not have the resources or personnel capable of requiring transparency from a large chemical company such as EMCO. So we're asking for the Lake Bluff Board to help us monitor the situation and work with corresponding regulatory agencies. We all breathe the same air, and we're reaching out to different avenues. You're one of them. We're hoping to continue the conversation with regard to this chemical plant that is probably 400 feet from my house, because the people that got their notices, they are 250 feet from this chemical plant. And I'm across the street from one of them, and she's here tonight. So thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you for sparing some time to listen to us tonight. My name is Matt Dollard. I live at 12979 Sanctuary Court in the sanctuary as well. And I also am grateful for the city council members here, the village council members that have been great at showing up and speaking and becoming a part of the the campaign, I guess we could call it. I was one of those folks that got up and spoke the last time. I'm not going to go into all of the details. I will share a couple of things, a couple data points. I don't know how much this board knows, but EMCO, if you are familiar with them, does have a very well-documented history of polluting the city of North Chicago. Not once, not twice, but over a period of years, over and over and over again. That's very concerning because the area that they polluted ended up in Lake Michigan. It's where everybody gets their drinking water. City of North Chicago gets their drinking water, I assume. I actually don't know how Lake Bluff gets its water, but over in Sanctuary, North Chicago provides our drinking water. But anything that goes in Lake Michigan ends up in our homes. It really does. So if they're dumping waste in Lake Michigan, then we're going to end up consuming it in some way. So that's a concern, remains a concern. Our small community did band together to vote to hire an attorney to represent us. For whatever reason, enough of us did not vote to support using our funds from our HOA to pay for an attorney. I don't believe it's just a sanctuary issue. It isn't. I mean, if you draw a circle on the map for where EMCO is, and you expand that out in concentric circles, it very quickly starts to absorb and include areas by the golf course, more homes that are this side of Lake Bluff. So I think my ask is, I don't know if the village has the means or interests in supporting funds for an attorney to file motions or injunctions or other, but that would be an ask that I would make to this group to consider. And lastly, the other thing about EMCO is they provide environmental services. I forgot to mention this. Environmental services. So if you look at what that means, if you are in a business that creates chemicals, uses chemicals, has waste, they will come and provide environmental services. So they'll come and clean that up. My concern is that they are going to now use this site to do that for that purpose now. And I'm quite familiar with the chemical industry, and I'm quite familiar with, training is always an issue. And many fires have broken out in facilities such as this because of poor handling or mixing of chemicals or valves not being shut off or something failing and creates a horrendous fire, which, is a pretty serious issue. So sorry to drag you down to the valley of death, but that is a concern. It's a real concern. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Please.
Hi, I'm Connie McCabe. I live at 12853 West Sanctuary Lane, and I'm here to put a personal spin on our concern over EMCO and their chemicals. In September 2023, I was diagnosed with a golf ball-sized brain tumor. After it was removed, after 7 hours of surgery and a titanium plate and lots of other gruesome details, they determined that the tumor was environmentally caused by exposure to chemicals. And it had happened over a long period of time. I have no idea where, when, how, but at some point in my life, some agency failed me. Local government, regulatory agency, chemical company. These things happen. They happen to real people. They affect lives. So we are looking for support. We're looking for guidance before there's a spill, before there's a fire, because simply exposure is very damaging. Thank you for your past support, and we look forward to continued support and guidance. Thank you.
Thank you, Connie.
Hi, Pam Russell, 448 Gurney Avenue.
Chris Claywitter, 130 East Sheridan Place.
Since 2023, residents of Lake Bluff have enjoyed the quiet and cleaner air during the village's seasonal ban on gas-powered leaf blowers. The two of us, along with many other residents, have spoken at village board and SEC meetings to encourage the move to a full-time ban. While we understand that change takes time, we are here on behalf of over 430 residents and a growing number who've signed a petition asking the village board to move toward a full year-round ban by implementing a minimum 9-month ban on gas-powered leaf blowers, eliminating weekend hours of operation, and limiting the number of leaf blowers allowed on one property during cleanup beginning this fall, and committing to a date when the ban becomes year-round. We're already behind the timeline recommended by the SEC, which would have had a full ban effective this year. As has been communicated by village staff, 6 North Shore communities already have a 9-month ban in place, and Evanston bans them year-round. We ask that Lake Bluff adopt this interim 9-month ban as well, or better yet, go one step further and limit use to 1 month in the spring and 1 month in the fall for seasonal cleanup. As part of the multi-community working group, Lake Bluff can take the lead on this and move other communities to align with the 10-month ban. We know you're talking with them. We ask for an extended ban for all the reasons stated in our petition, and I'm going to give you all copies of these and signatures too. Data regarding the damaging impact of gas-powered leaf blowers is well documented. Due to the low frequency sound energy, noise levels exceeding 75 decibels at a distance of 50 feet penetrate walls, even concrete, and can be heard as far away as 800 feet, exceeding maximum levels permitted by village's noise ordinance. Extreme noise raises stress levels, increases blood pressure, and contributes to permanent, irreversible hearing loss. Each hour of operation sends about 5 pounds of fine dust, animal feces, mold, fungi, pollen, heavy metals, and pesticides into the air. Gas-powered leaf blowers emit carbon monoxide, toxic cancer-causing air contaminants, and tons of carbon dioxide, the leading cause of global warming. Songbird and insect populations are declining. The village survived and looked beautiful years ago, and the landscapers survived as well without gas-powered leaf blowers. As we enter the 3rd year of the seasonal ban, we've seen how a ban on this equipment improves the environment in which we live, work, and play. Landscapers have made an investment in equipment, and they have adjusted pretty well. Please take the next steps. Limit use to the designated time periods for fall and spring cleanup, eliminate weekend hours of operation, limit the number allowed on one property, and commit to a date when the full year ban will go into place. Do all this now, and you won't need to have us come here, and you won't have to listen to us again. We appreciate your work, continuing to work on this, and hope that you stay on the timeline you had suggested, that something can change this fall. Now I have for all the board members and Drew, the administration, copies of the petition that people signed and a list of the 430 signatories. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pam.
And growing.
Thank you. Good evening, members of the village board. My name is Renee Kwong, and for the past 27 years, we are just across a proposed site at 29638 Northbridge Avenue in the sanctuary. And we chose Lake Bluff originally because it offered something rare, which is a peaceful, family-centered community where safety, health, and quality of life are valued. Lake Bluff is built on families. Our schools, parks, and neighborhoods reflect that. It's why people move here, and it's what makes this village special. But the recent M3 zoning designation at 3601 North Skokie Highway threatens that foundation. Though the site is technically in North Chicago, it's only 45 minutes from our home. This decision may seem distant on paper, but its consequences are local and immediate. M3 zoning isn't a harmless technicality. It permits heavy industrial activity, including chemical storage, diesel trucks, traffic, and 24/7 operations. And while that might offer short-term gains to a business, it risks long-term harm to the families who live there. Research shows that communities near heavy industry face serious health impacts. In one study, children living within 1 kilometer of an industrial zone had a 21% higher risk of asthma. These are not just abstract numbers. They represent real families, families like mine. If we allow this to continue, we risk pushing families out of Lake Bluff. People don't want to raise their children next to industrial zones. I urge the board to stand with the families of Lake Bluff, oppose expansion, demand transparency, and protect the long-term health and character of our village. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening, President Drew and board members. First of all, I want to thank President Drew for being at the last meeting. I was rather dismayed, though.
Can you please state your name?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
I have kind of a one-track mind right now.
Don't we all?
Walt Thomas, 12533 Meadow Circle, which is the sanctuary. And we're about maybe 400 feet or so away from this M3 zoning. I just wanted to thank you, for attending the last meeting. And I was really dismayed when you heard some of the testimony that was rather heartfelt. I felt as though it was really rubber stamped and no one listened. And that's wrong. And I think we should put our foot down. What could happen in the future is anyone's guess. However, EMCO has been fined a total of $600,000 in the last 13 or 14 years. I don't want them as a neighbor, and I don't think you would want them as a neighbor. They did have one little slip up that I can see. I'm not an attorney, but it appears that when Mayor Rockingham testified at the first meeting as a pro witness, he might have violated zoning issues for Illinois regulations. I don't know if this can be stopped now, if we've gone too far time-wise, but I think it's really time that we put our foot down on it. We asked them to be good neighbors, and I thought that was really rubber stamped. They didn't even discuss it. One gentleman took some of my papers regarding all of these violations that EMCO had, and I don't know what he did with it. Didn't even pass it out to anyone. I'm very unhappy with the way that protocol was at that meeting, And I'm hoping that we can do something to stop this. It's a travesty. That's all it is. It's totally wrong. Everyone has gone through the issues about health. EMCO has dumped 7,000 gallons of toxic chemicals into Lake Michigan. That's our water that we drink. Let's not forget outboard marine, the polychlorinated biphenyls. That has a half-life. I'm not an organic chemistry major. However, I will tell you, it has a long half-life and it stays in the lake a long time. How long this stuff is going to stay with us is anyone's guess. But I think something needs to be done, and I think we need to keep this on an agenda so that we keep the ball rolling on this and it doesn't get dropped. Once something happens, then it's too late. We've heard about the health issues, and it's a travesty that these things happen and someone is allowed to do this and it's repeated. So in good faith, I ask you to consider taking some sort of action, whatever it may be. I don't know if it's too late as far as the time that's passed since they've put this regulation in. But I think that if that could be reviewed, and with Mayor Rockingham of North Chicago testifying as a pro witness at the first meeting, he actually violated protocol on that. That was the wrong thing to do. So if we can stop it or let them know that we're angry, that's the other thing. You know, they just walked all over us. You gave a brilliant speech, President, went on deaf ears. So I think we really need to put our foot down and let them have it. I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Wayne.
Hi, my name is Pooja Shirsagar. My address is 29575 North Birch Avenue. And this is my first time here at this meeting. And unfortunately, due to reasons of the M3 zoning MCO that has situated, just in addition, I want to make it brief to what my neighbors have said. And that as a mother of two, 6-year-old and 3-year-old, and as a pharmacist at the Target Pharmacy, we are breathing the same air, and I'm very concerned. I did find an attorney. However, unfortunately, the Sanctuary HOA denied the approval of hiring the attorney. So at this point, I'm at loss as a mother of what to do. So I'm looking to you, please, as guidance to help at least enough to scare them or let them know, because once there is if there is an unfortunate incident of a leakage, it's going to be extremely, extremely detrimental for not just the sanctuary, but everyone. There's an elementary school right next to the MCO chemical packaging distribution, and then the leakage can spread everywhere. So I just wanted to come up here and share my concerns. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Patricia. Thank you very much, Patricia. Thank you all.
My name is Dennis Hall, and I live at 12537 Meadow Circle. We all alluded to the meeting we had, and I remember going to the zoning board meeting, and the mayor came up and said what a great addition MCO would be to the community. And my question to him was, how would that benefit us? And he went back and sat in the corner and never answered my question. So I kind of got to figure that I get it. It was about money, trying to get on the tax roll. I get that. But, you know, there's no real concern about, you know, what effect it's going to have on people. Mostly children, from their, speaking as an educator, on their cognitive development. It would have a major effect on that. I revert back to midline down the road here. And, you know, my concern is North Chicago's given them carte blanche. They gave them a blank check. They said, hey, you can go from M1 to M3. They never specified what they could do. If they put a smokestack up, That means they can create chemicals, they can store chemicals. And if you kept in touch with what happened at Midline with the release of ethylene oxide, there's no real safe level of that. So they can put anything they want in that facility. And the bad thing about it, when you think about it, if they do have a smokestack and those chemicals or gases come out, usually in the summer, you have the winds coming from the southwest. I'm not sure people would want to play golf on the golf course down the street from us. So that's another concern, and that would be blowing into the Lake Bluff community. And so that's another concern I think we should have. The thing I'm looking at on this is we need your help. And I don't know at what level that would be. Maybe you could give us what our options could be. Maybe you could give us some direction. Maybe we're dead in the water. I don't know. But like I said, the way I look at it, it's not if there's going to be an accident there. The question is, when is there going to be an accident there? And once those chemicals are released, there's no way of putting them back. And I think a lot of people would suffer, not just us at the sanctuary, depending on how the wind blows or whatever. And you heard from my neighbor where they poured all these chemicals into the water that flowed into Lake Michigan. I sure as heck wouldn't want them as my neighbors. So again, thank you so much. Appreciate it. And we need help.
Thank you, Denise.
Thank you.
My name is Brian Harrington. I live at 12810 West Sanctuary Lane in Lake Bluff. We have, for those who may not know, the sanctuary was originally developed and was not part of Lake Bluff, but was in unincorporated Lake County. Some years after the completion of the subdivision, it occurred to a number of people who live in Knollwood, which we would have been considered part of at that time, oh, how wonderful if we could be annexed into Lake Bluff. So a vote was taken in which the residents of Lake Bluff, and I believe the residents of Knollwood, could collectively cast their opinion as to that, and it was defeated, soundly defeated. And everyone thought that the issue was settled and over. However, a number of people in the sanctuary began to recognize that we had all brand new infrastructure, new roads, new sewers, new everything. And if we were willing as a community to pay the substantially higher tax burden that would be involved with becoming annexed by Lake Bluff, we could actually benefit, and so could Lake Bluff. And the Lake Bluff committee at the time recognized that. And so a clever lawyer realized that one of the ways to accomplish the annexation would be simply for the residents of the sanctuary to appeal directly to this board and see whether we could vote on our desire and whether it could be approved. It was approved. Many residents in the village of Lake Bluff fought this all the way to the Illinois Supreme Court because they said, oh, this subject has been covered already and we don't want to revisit it. And with the help of the village of Lake Bluff, the Illinois Supreme Court held that that was a valid annexation. And ever since then, I and everyone who lives there has been paying substantially higher taxes to this village. And it's only been in recent years that we've had to get any kind of infrastructure help from Lake Bluff because everything was so beautiful at the time of the annexation took place. Now we have our hat in our hand. We're saying We have paid our dues to this village for a long time, and now we're looking for help in return. And we don't have the ability, 177 homes, we don't have the assets in the homeowners association to be able to object to what just happened in North Chicago. I was at the meeting in North Chicago. The room was so mobbed with people objecting to this, not only from the sanctuary, but others who would be affected by the zoning change. And it was all rigged because the board that's listened to all these arguments agreed with us and said this shouldn't happen. And as soon as it went to the higher powers in North Chicago, it happened overnight. So we're asking for help, and we don't feel like we're out of line in doing so. And we'd be very grateful for any help that this village can provide to fellow residents of this village. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Brian.
Hi, my name is Olga Kras. I live in Sanctuary 29742 North Environ Circle. I've been a resident of Lake Bluff for 27 years. I have 3 children who went through all the schools from Central and, to Lake Forest High School. So, but what I want to say that about our small sanctuary community, it's a very young community. Although my kids are grown up and adults now, we have a lot of young families. And the reason why people move into sanctuary because it's a young community. If you walk around the streets, you see kids playing everywhere, on bikes, and it's a very vibrant, happy community. And the real estate market in our specific community is very valuable because a lot of people who work across the street at Abby, they move specifically to sanctuary. So what's gonna happen if and we moved to sanctuary because of that, because of the value that Lake Bluff has, the schools, and the vibrant young community. What will happen once people gonna find out that the air quality is awful, that we have water quality that is awful? The property value will go down. So it's not just about the ecological aspects, it's about the property value. And I think just like Brian said, our community does contribute a lot. How many students of Lake Bluff Elementary School are from Sanctuary? How many students go to Lake Forest High School? So that's another thing that is very, very important to consider. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I would like to address these comments, actually.
We're doing, should we see if there's anybody online?
Sure.
Yeah. So if there's anyone participating in the village's Zoom meeting online and want to make a comment for items that are not on the agenda, now is a great time to raise your hand and be recognized.
No one? Again, I would like to address these comments. When Drew and I first heard about this concern, I think we took a Lake County map and we measured about 60 feet from the closest dwelling. There are 4 of them to the on the other side of 41. It's 60 feet. Okay. We don't know what's happening in this building. My dad's a chemist and he worked about 20 years as a chemist. He was a professor of chemistry and he did analyze when there's a fire, what happens. And the answer was pretty genuine. We don't know. Okay. Anything can go in those fumes. So the concern is I was upset. When we speak about 250 feet, a lot of people are involved. When we prepared our comments to the board in North Chicago, Our elementary school is 0.8 mile. It's 4,000 feet. Okay. Drew and I went to speak to the mayor of North Chicago, who is a friend, and we were received politely, but we were also shown the door very politely. That is their prerogative, by the way. And I will repeat that. This is their prerogative. That doesn't mean that we're done. Okay, and I've seen what you guys were doing. I think this is great. But this is their prerogative to change that zoning. From my standpoint, the zoning was, no, we need to repair diesel trucks. So we need to go from M1 to something that is allowing for working on truck engines. Drew and Clara are with the assistant village administrator and a planner, so versed into those details, suggested to have an M1A that would accommodate fixing trucks. But the answer was, no, we want M3. I do not see rhyme and reasons to that. Okay. I don't think, one thing also I would like to say is you're not the only one. Part of that circle includes a medical school, includes people in Norwood, includes people in North Chicago, and includes people that are unincorporated Lake County. There's more people involved. I believe that, I mean, I do not agree with it. And so I'm still concerned about it. And
I think the board has talked about it, and the idea is to stay involved and pay attention to what's going there, and stay in contact with the city of North Chicago to keep this matter in front of us and keep in front of them that it's important to us, and the village is not pleased with how this turned out. I think from tonight's comments, I think that's the first time I heard that the HOA decided not to pursue legal action independently. So I think it would be helpful if there's somebody who can be a spokesperson. I'm happy to keep in contact with that person, keep communication open about next steps, what we're doing, what you're doing, if there's opportunities for us to work together. Try to find those. I don't know if somebody could sort of reach out to me. I know I've had contact with many of you over the last several weeks, so you know how to reach me. If not, certainly stop in the village hall anytime or give me a call, but I'm happy to keep that conversation going about chasing this down. I think it's difficult. It's a difficult matter because they're within their rights as a community to make these types of legislative land use decisions. And we don't like it. We've told them that more than once. But they have some autonomy. They have autonomy. So, but do what we can when it's appropriate, when it's the most strategic. So I think the board wants to work with you on that. So if somebody wants to reach out, I'm happy to do that.
so thank you very much. Thank you very much for speaking tonight.
I ask a question related to this. There was testimony earlier about chemical leaks or concerns about chemical leaks. I note that there's 2 locations they have apparently in North Chicago. Do we have any reason to believe that any chemicals have been emitted yet? Or are we primarily looking at future, we're concerned about the future?
No, there was violations and they have been.
At that
found
location?
in North Chicago. I don't know what location, but you can actually find online a violation by EMCO in North Chicago.
Yeah, I just looked up, they have another location, but I have no doubt, I have no doubt. I just wonder if, beyond zoning, if there's any other avenues here. I'm sure you've been very involved, so I'm sure you've thought of it, but the zoning, as I understand it, they have a great deal of autonomy over that, but they certainly don't have complete autonomy over polluting the environment and their neighbors. So
That could be the concern.
and just an additional, I'm sure you've thought of it, but additional avenue that we'd be interested in understanding.
Thank you.
And with that understanding, with the pollution and it affecting the waterways as well as the airways, I mean, I think the question was like, would we be able to, as a board or a village, sponsor some sort of attorney retainer fee for them to then go after and sue? Is that a possibility? I mean, I think that's what they're here asking. And so I don't know. I didn't know that their HOA did not want to cover that. So is that something we do, Peter? Is that a no? Is that something we have to look into?
Not something we've ever done before. But I suppose the village, in the village's general fund, the village can decide what to spend its money on.
Well, and I think that's what they're asking us to put on the agenda.
Is that what the question is, or is it just simply they are part of the village? This isn't, this is, impacts the whole village and we need to be thinking about next step.
Yeah.
More broadly.
But
Mhm.
just broadly legal,
Mhm.
legal ramifications.
Yeah,
I think
I'm
the,
dancing around saying what
well,
is really
the,
being asked.
I think
What
the,
I think is
I think the ask is help. Okay, that's all there is to that.
correct.
Yes.
That's it. And,
And our prior discussions have been about the zoning question, which I understood to be
Can't do anything.
little we could do about that, but I just wonder if any of these other violations give us any avenues outside of zoning, but I'm sure it would take more.
I mean, I'm hearing
More look at-
specific help, like for a
Yes.
lawyer help.
Yes.
Not like we want help and maybe cooperation. They're asking for something.
well, yeah.
find help.
And like, I don't,
There's no
I don't,
action.
I'm not okay with the
There's no
response,
cause of-
so I don't.
So if there's no cause of action, a lawyer doesn't help.
Well, that's
But-
what I think you hire someone to figure out,
I know.
right?
Is it-
Well, but I thought the question you were getting is, do you want the village attorney to do that? Or
Right.
do you want to give them money to hire their own lawyer?
That's what I'm asking you. What do we do in this situation?
Well, you can do either way.
What do
mean,
you
both are
recommend as the village attorney, Peter?
Here's what I can tell you, at least in the,
Is there a difference? I
from,
mean,
from the,
Okay.
from the zoning analysis,
Yeah.
the HOA had we had a conversation with the HOA's attorney. And I know, at the time we offered some expertise in local zoning, local government zoning, and we offered up Peter Friedman to help them with their conversation. And they were pursuing, the frontage protest, which they successfully filed, although it didn't matter because of the number of votes. But ultimately, Peter, I think, had reached out directly to their attorney. And I don't think anything come of that conversation, but that was part of that. So I think at least maybe the next best step is to have communication with whoever the representative is and find out maybe what ideas they have and what other things, and sit down and talk about that, and maybe come back and share back with this group, with the board, and say, this is what they specifically asked for, and this is how we think maybe is the best way to respond to that offer or call for help.
I would suggest that we ask Peter to follow up on that, if we can
Mhm.
get a contact.
What is the consensus on the board? Yes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Happy to do it.
So Peter will follow up with, and we still need a person to be a point of contact. And so Peter will be happy to follow up with that person with Drew, of course. Okay?
And nobody here tonight is, I guess, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this. There's nobody from the HOA here tonight?
I think they're all members, but I don't think the representative.
Like, I mean, like.
Yeah.
The
Board.
Yeah.
So we have one person who withdrew his card.
Mhm.
So we will have a conversation going forward, okay? So thank you very much for being here tonight. And we'll continue with the next conversation, okay? All right.
We don't.
Sir, we have an elevator if you want. That way. There is a lift if you want to go down.
Elevator?
Maybe not.
State those, sure. I mean, they have open seven. We're pretty good about it.
And that's it. It also.
I don't know.
Straightforward?
Yeah.
We'll continue with the agenda right now. Next on our agenda is
Oh. Bye, Connie.
next on our agenda is the village board sets the order of a meeting. Do we get any requests?
12. 12, 15, and 17.
Without objections on the board, moving on to item 12. All right, moving on to 12. Item 12 is an ordinance granting a variation from the village's front yard fence regulation at 511 Lansdowne. Is there a motion to approve this ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. As a summary, following an informal review at the May 21st, 2025 PCZBA meeting, Jonathan Baksh, thank you, sorry, thank you. Try to say my name, so. Of 511 Lansdowne Lane, Zone E2 is Estate Residence District, applied for a variation from Section 10-5-3 of the zoning regulations in order to construct 6-foot fences in his front yard. As you may recall, Mr. Baksh needed a restrictive covenant on the Lansdowne subdivision plat amended in order to locate a fence within the landscape buffer yards of his property, on his property. During this process, it was discovered that Mr. Baksh intended to install a 6-foot tall fence within what code defines as his front yard, which would not be permitted in the E2 district. Of note, Mr. Baksh property is the only E2 zone property in the Lansdowne subdivision. All of the other properties are zone E1, Estate Residence District, which would allow a 6-foot tall fence in the front yard. During the informal review, the PCZBA felt the request was reasonable due to this unique zoning situation and the fact that other properties on the east side of Moffett have 6-foot tall fences. The variation request was presented formally at the June 18, 2025 PCZBA meeting, and a unanimous favorable recommendation was forwarded to the village board. Mr. Baksh is requesting both first and second reading approval of the ordinance at Monday's night meeting.
I thought he probably wanted to come back more times, right? I just don't understand it. I know you've been here a lot.
Yeah.
Can I ask just one question? His front yard by ordinance is supposedly on Moffett, right?
The short side of his lot, yes.
That's the short side. And so the front, so what where his front door is, doesn't dictate what the front
Correct.
yard is. Okay.
Or my address.
Or
apparently.
your address,
Yeah.
yes. All right. That's where the disconnect comes for me, because it's his side yard, right? He
Well, it's
perceived
even-
it as his side yard.
Even more than that, when that subdivision was created, that strip of Moffett and then points east of there are zoned differently.
Yeah,
Different zoning
I
districts.
understand. I didn't
Yeah,
mean to.
So that further complicates the matter, but
No, I think you read it well. I don't have anything to add. We had a thorough conversation,
Mm-hmm.
I think, several months ago and thought we were done.
We
But then
haven't emptied.
I'm getting very used to
Yeah, right.
the deliberations here. So anyway, I do thank Clara for proactively raising that. We could have, we found out the day after that apparently I couldn't build the fence, and we started the next process. But I guess it could have been worse. I could have applied for the application, gotten all the fees and everybody contracted, and then found out about this thing. So anyway, yeah, so I do consider this my side and backyard. It's not really my front yard. It just reads front yard. But now we've notified my neighbors twice. I don't think anybody's commented. I've gotten everybody's signatures twice. 6-foot fence like everyone else has. It'd be great if we could do the first and second, and this could be it, but I'm happy to address any comments or questions.
Thank you. Any question to Mr. Baksh?
Can we advance it to the second reading?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
You need all 5 votes
Fine.
tonight. You need all 5 votes.
All 5 votes.
You need all 5.
Could waive second reading. Okay. Okay. Well, I'm
So we can
ready.
make that as a motion.
Did we make a move?
first reading.
Motion for
First reading, then second.
Okay.
So you have the motion for first
Two
reading.
separate motions, one after another, or can we make both motions?
No, separate.
Aye.
separate.
Okay. So we have a motion for a first reading right now, and this is roll call.
It's a voice vote.
So it's a voice vote. All-
Aye.
Aye.
I have a motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you. So the motion carries. So I would gladly accept a second motion for a second
To
reading.
waive second reading.
Second.
Second, it is now a roll call, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
If there's any public comment.
Is there any comment?
No.
If there are any public comments, and I do not see any, and it is a roll call, clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Ryder,
Aye.
trustee Fisher,
Aye.
trustee Freed,
Aye.
trustee Hatch.
Aye.
And the president.
President Charlo.
Aye. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Come back.
Leave the
next
building.
week.
Yeah, exactly. You won't have to see me here
Yeah.
every month. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you
thanks.
very
Bye-bye.
much. Good luck. Okay. Thank you, guys. Next item is item 15, a resolution approving a tentative and final plat of subdivision for property located at 665 Pine Court. Could I please have this is 15. Could I please have a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved.
Seconded.
Thank you. The property located at 665 Pine Court is currently one parcel that is approximately 150 feet by 145 feet. The parcel currently contains one single-family residential home. Samantha Schnell, petitioner and property owner, has submitted an application to subdivide the parcel into two parcels, which individually meet the village R3 zoning district standards. Mrs. Schnell has submitted permit application to demolish the existing home and construct a new single-family home on Lot 1 of this proposed subdivision. A new single-family home meeting the village's standards could be built on Lot 2 in the future. The subdivision is not required to be reviewed by the Joint Plan Commission and Zoning Board of Appeals, as it meets the criteria for an exemption under Section 11-6-2A of the subdivision code. The existing parcel is divided into no more than two parcels, does not reduce any lot to any area smaller than required by the Lake Bluff zoning ordinance, or create any non-conforming conditions under the zoning ordinance. Please note that the effective date of the attached resolution would be following the removal of the existing home, and the applicant has indicated that she intends to start demolition of the existing home as soon as is practical under subdivision approval.
Hello. Oh,
Any-
I'm on Zoom, just if there's any questions. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to talk right now, but thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mrs. Schnell.
Hi.
Are there any questions to Mrs. Schnell?
So I meant to bring this up earlier. I am the adjacent property owner. I live at 659 Pine Court. So I don't know if I'm allowed
You're
to
allowed.
weigh in. Okay.
But you did the right thing and notified.
Okay.
everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Because I have some questions. So that is a regular sized lot right now. One of the lots that is divided on this plat looks like it's a little shorter than the lot one it looks like you want to build on. Are you looking to build the same space on lot two as you are on lot one, Mrs. Schnell?
We are not looking to build anything on the second lot as of right now. We're only looking to build our family's home on the north lot and the home we wanted to build, and we have submitted about 95% plans complete at this point. It just required a slightly larger width. So because of that, the remainder is slightly smaller. It's not a completely even split. To be honest, I'm not sure what we will do. If we were to sell the lot, if we were to build a spec home and sell another home to another future resident, or maybe nothing, we might just keep the lot up and make it a beautiful backyard for right now. So I don't know about that part of it yet.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions on the board?
What is the minimum width of a house in the R3, or not a house, the lot? Is it that 65 feet that is shown
65.
there? 65?
Yes,
So
ma'am.
65 by 145?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And we have these kind of requests from time to time, I take it, and that as long as they meet the standards of the,
There was a
the
similar
subdivision.
subdivision directly across the street, similar.
A similar one.
Double-sized lot split.
I see.
Oh, actually, I
that's
just looked.
incorrect. That's incorrect because that guy kept his house.
He did, but
It's one house.
yeah. But the
He
idea,
thought about it. He thought about splitting, but he
but
didn't.
it's similar size and it's the same, the village approved.
No,
the subdivision.
yeah, sure, but like, it's gonna change. It'll change the way the plot looks. I'm not objecting to it. I'm just saying it's not similar.
To the,
Just to
the house-
clarify,
houses,
I'm
yeah.
so sorry. I pulled up our architect zoning analysis attached to the plan submittal, and the minimum width is actually 60, not 65 feet, just.
I see.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I
Yes.
just didn't know off the top of my head. Okay, and so the standard for this review is what?
It
What is our-
complies, if it complies with our
It complies
subdivision
with this-
regulations.
Okay,
Village board has very little discretion to deny a subdivision plat.
all right then. That's the standard. Okay,
Okay. Any more questions to Mrs. Chanel or to Drew or to Peter?
No.
No.
Hi, Mrs. Chanel. I'm Kat, by the way. I'm your neighbor.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice
Look
to meet
forward
you.
to getting started. I will stop by and say hello when we're over
For
there
sure.
now.
Same.
Thank you. It is going to be a roll call vote. Claire, please call the roll. Trustee Fisher? Trustee Fried?
Aye.
Trustee Hatch?
Aye.
And Trustee Ryder.
hi.
Thank you and congratulations.
Thank you guys so much. We literally look forward to moving to Lake Bluff. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you very much and welcome.
Thank you so much.
Yep. Next item would be item 17. We'll go to, and item 17 happens to not be as a printout, but happens to be as a lectern.
It's really hard with all of our trees, to actually see what, it's really hard with all of our trees in town to actually see like the lots.
And item 17 is to commend somebody who has been very close to us and to Drew for many years, and this is Carol with us.
No offense, Drew.
And item, item 17 is resolution number 2025-39. That is a resolution honoring the public service of Administrative Secretary Carol Weatherall. And I was told that Carol could have skipped that event altogether and just run away. That's fine, because I feel the same, by the way. So I don't want that kind of stuff, so bear with me. Whereas on August 20, 2007, Carol Weatherall began her service to the residents of Lake Bluff after serving for 23 years in the United States Navy as an office manager and office supervisor. And whereas at the conclusion of a work day on June 27, 2025, Carol Weatherall will retire, having served the resident of the village of Lake Bluff for almost 18 years as administrative secretary. And whereas Carol Weatherall has always demonstrated great adaptability, responsibility, and resourcefulness as she performed her many and varying duties with dedication and kindness toward all. And whereas the village organization has benefited from her document management efforts, which include developing a laserfish database, special event permits and Freedom of Information Act requests processing, and most importantly, the safekeeping of all village records and licenses for the past 18 years. And whereas Carol Weverall has earned the admiration and respect of her colleagues at the Village of Lake Bluff for her dedication, collegiality, enthusiasm, professionalism, sense of humor, and ever-present smile. And I can witness that because Carol is awesome. And whereas the strong support of her family and friends has contributed greatly to her service and accomplishment on behalf of the Village of Lake Bluff. And now therefore be it resolved by the Village President and Board of Trustees of the Village of Lake Bluff, County of Lake, and State of Illinois that the Village of Lake Bluff hereby recognizes Carol Weverall for her many significant contributions to the Village of Lake Bluff. And such recognition and the gratitude of the Village of Lake Bluff be publicly expressed to Carol Weverall for her service to the community, and that this resolution be incorporated to the minutes of this proceeding, and that an executive copy of a resolution be delivered to Carol Weverall. Congratulations, Carol. Happy retirement. I will make you smile. So how good you are.
Congratulations.
Say this and then I'm gonna leave right now. I ain't never heard my name called that many times, right? But my name really is Yolanda. So I think it's Yolanda Carroll. No, Carol. Thank you. Seriously, when I came to the village, I didn't know what to expect from the village. So it's truly been memorable. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Kara.
All right. I need a motion because I believe I did not do that. Could I please have a motion for this resolution?
So moved, absolutely.
Seconded.
And it is going to be a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? And the motion carries. Congratulations, Carol, even though you're gone.
Yolanda.
Kara.
We talked this morning about that. In fact, when I first came here, I was looking at the records like the first day, and she said, "Oh, hi, I'm Carol." I said, "Great. Yeah, nice to meet you. It'll be great working with you, Yolanda." And she was like, "It's gonna be all right." Yeah. We'll miss her immensely. She's been great.
Yeah. And we're going to resume the order of our meeting, and that will be with item 7A. And that is the warrants report for June 6 and 13, 2025. Is there a motion to approve this warrants report?
Motion to approve.
Seconded.
Thank you very much. And the warrants report for June 10 to June 23rd, 2025 is for expenditure of village funds for payments of invoices in the amount of $108,482.26 for June 10 to June 23rd, 2025, and for expenditure of village funds for payment of payroll in the amount of $360,327 even for May 2025. For total expenditures of $468,809.26. Are there any questions to Bettina and Drew? I've looked at the ledger, couldn't see anything that fell of the ordinary, and I have no questions. Any questions?
No.
It is a roll call. Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Ryder,
Aye.
trustee Hatch.
Aye.
Trustee Freed,
Aye.
and trustee Fisher.
Aye.
Thank you. Next is item 7B. And that would be our May 2025 financial report. Is there a motion to approve the finance report?
So moved.
Second?
Thank you. Bettina, would you mind leading us through this report?
Sure. As noted in the cover memo, monthly sales tax revenue on a cash basis for May was $324,119, which is $24,848 or 8.3% greater than the fiscal year 25 cash basis receipts. General fund fiscal year 26 year-to-date revenues of $13,585,642 are $1,212,369 greater than the fiscal year 24 to-date revenues. And fiscal year 26 current expenditures are consistent with or less than budgeted. The fiscal year-to-date expenditures of $534,959 are $185,691 less than the expenditures for the same period. To address a question that trustee Ryder had, the reason for the reduction primarily for the expenditures can be tied to a payroll entry. The May 29th payroll entry will post in June. So that'll change.
So we
a
pay
little
every
bit.
2 weeks instead of half month?
We pay
we-
yes, every
Every
2
2
weeks.
weeks, yeah.
The third payroll. will
So every
post.
once in a while, you're gonna have a three
Yes,
payrollman.
yep. And that'll be reflected in next month's report.
Thank you, Bettina.
Sure.
Any more questions to Bettina on this report? Thank you. It's a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? And the motion carries. Thank you again. Next item is item 8, our village administrator's report.
Yeah, I just wanted to call your attention to some document management that Carol and I have been working on. And it's that time of year where we bring you items that the village will dispose of because we don't have the space or there's been no cry to keep it. There's no business reason to keep it unless there's any comments or worry. We'll go through that and go ahead and take care of that unless anybody wants to raise their hand and say, don't do that for some reason. But it's worked well in terms of the village managing its documents as we try to work more and more towards a paperless universe within these walls.
Makes sense. Looks like we've kept many of them longer than we needed to.
Always the case.
Always the case.
Not always, but typically. the
Yes.
case. Yep. All right. That's
Work
all I
with-
needed.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Moving forward, we have our village attorney's reports next. Peter?
No report tonight.
Thank you. Followed by my report, and tonight is I am recommending the appointment of Ben O'Connor to the Historic Preservation Commission. And specifically subject to the consent of the Board of Trustees, the village president appoints members to the village's various advisory boards and commissions. Village President Charlot recommends the appointment of Benjamin O'Connor to fill the current vacancy on the Historic Preservation Commission. And specifically what I do, and we have a process for that now, I will meet with I will be recommended a person, I will meet with that person for coffee, way too much coffee in my life. And I will follow that meeting with the chair of that commission. And so I met with Ben and Ben met with Paul Bergman for a good conversation. And in both cases, Paul and I felt, no, Ben would be great on this board. And Ben has a passion for history and this is a perfect fit. So in this case, I'm bringing this appointment to the board for recommendation.
So you're looking for a motion second.
Any motion?
And and therefore, I would gladly accept a motion.
Motion to approve or to
Accept the appointment.
accept the appointment.
Second.
Voice vote.
Thank you very much. It's a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
I'm an I, I just didn't say it out loud, so I, yeah.
Aye. And Ben also, I also exchanged a few texts with Ben today. And Ben could have been here except that he has little kids at home. And I recommended Ben to be on the Zoom tonight. Ben, do you have a word to say to us?
Only thank you, and I look forward to helping out, look forward to serving, and look forward to working with and meeting all of you whom I haven't met already. Thank you.
Thank you very much for volunteering with the village of Lake Bluff, Ben.
You bet. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving forward, next is item 11, the acceptance of a correspondence. Please note that all correspondence was delivered to the Village Board of Trustees in the informational report on June 13 and 2025. Is there a motion to approve a correspondence?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions or discussions on the correspondence? It is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you, and the motion carries. Next item is item 13, an ordinance amending Chapter 9, Animal Control, Article A of Title 5, Police and Public Safety, and amending Chapter 5, Residence Districts, Article 10, Zoning Regulations by adding Section 10-5-17 in the Lake Bluff Municipal Code. Is there a motion to approve this ordinance?
So moved?
Thank you. So at the January 13, 2025 Committee of the Whole meeting, a discussion occurred regarding a comprehensive update to the Village Animal Control Code as certain sections were antiquated and difficult to enforce. These discussions continued and on February 24th, 2025, the Village Board approved the Animal Code update. At that time, it was noted that the section involving location restrictions for animals would make more sense if located in the zoning regulations. At the June 18, 2025 public hearing, the PCCBA discussed staff's recommendation to locate location restriction for animals in the zoning regulations under Chapter 5, Residence District, same section as other accessory structures, and forwarded a unanimous favorable recommendation on the proposed zoning text amendment to the Village Board. Any question to Drew or to Matt for that matter? I see no questions. It is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? And the motion carries. Thank you very much. Next item is item 14, an ordinance authorizing the purchase of a Ford police vehicle and disposal of a village vehicle. It is a it is an ordinance. It is a motion to approve an ordinance. Could I please have a motion to approve an ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. The village, sorry, I was doing two things at the same time.
Okay.
The village fiscal year 2025-26 biennial budget includes $86,600 for the replacement and upfitting of a police vehicle. What would be pretty cool, uplifting? Of a police.
A lift kit for a police car? I don't think so.
I'm distracted. Okay, I'm sorry. The upfitting of a police vehicle pursuant to the vehicle and equipment replacement schedule. The current state of Illinois joint purchasing master contract is with Sutton Ford of Madison, Illinois, where staff recommends the purchase of a new Ford Interceptor Utility Explorer police package vehicle for $48,012. The cost to upfit and mark the new vehicle will be $17,370.95. Because this is a replacement vehicle, the Village Board will need to declare the old patrol car as surplus property. The Chief of Police and Finance Director recommends the sale of a village retired police vehicle as a 2021 Ford Explorer Police Interceptor VIN long string of characters as it has reached the end of its useful life. Should the police board authorize this purchase and disposal, the retired vehicle will be sold at auction as soon as practicable. Any question to Matt or Drew in this matter? It is a roll call vote.
It's first reading. First reading.
It's a so it's a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? And the motion carries. Thank you very much. Next item is item 16, a resolution authorizing an intergovernmental agreement for participation in the Illinois Public Works Mutual Network. Is there a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Thank you. The Village of Lake Bluff has been a member of the Illinois Public Works Mutual Aid Network, known as IPWMAN, since February 2014, not unlike MABAS, MABAS, and NIPAS, NIPAS, the mutual aid networks that supports our fire and police departments when necessary. IPWMAN is a valuable joint network of public works department which offer vast resources in times of need, as well as provide the village the opportunity to assist other communities when practicable. IPWMAN recently updated its mutual aid agreement to 1, clarify that mutual aid is not just for emergencies, but includes day-to-day operations and training opportunities. 2, transition management from IPWMAN Inc. to IPWMAN as an intergovernmental agency. And 3, provide a revised process for any future amendments to the agreement. Given the extensive resources available through IPWMAN and the village emergency operations plans provision for ongoing involvement, staff recommends the adoption of this new agreement. Any questions to Drew or Jake for that matter?
Just to clarify, the village has only helped out others. We never rang the bell asking for help. It goes back to July 11th, 2011, when there was some straight line windstorms. We sent people out. Was it to Libertyville or Mundelein or both?
No, we didn't.
Oh, we gave the,
We did it ourselves.
oh,
The
the chipper.
time that we helped Libertyville once, and it was like just before Thanksgiving. It was one of those heavy snowstorms came in, but Lake Bluff, the lake's still warm, so the snow wasn't as bad, but Libertyville all their branches were down. It broke tons of stuff, so we sent guys there for 2 days. And they ran the chipper truck, helped them clean it up.
I'm
Thank you.
just curious about the transition management from IPWMAN Inc. to IPWMAN, an intergovernmental agency. So it's currently a company and now it's going to be a governmental entity. I'm just looking at this memo, number 2, transition management from IPWMAN Inc. to IPWMAN, an intergovernmental agency. Is there any significance to that
I think it's a matter,
distinction?
I mean, from a liability standpoint,
Or
yeah,
just,
yeah, I think it's the idea, generally speaking, that is, in a perfect world, this group would have statutory authority and limits of liability, like other, I'll call them special task force and law enforcement and so forth. That's kind of like the gold standard where you want to be, like the village's intergovernmental risk management agency. This is the second level, the functioning at a level where you're intergovernmental cooperative. And the lowest level being just organized to try to provide the services loosely. This is something that I think it's reflective of its evolution of just growth in membership and growth in just maybe necessarily given resources are limited everywhere and people are just trying to, and having the IGA helps, I think, give it credibility and I'm sure there's some liability.
yeah, I just wondered what the significance was that it wasn't, looks like it was a corporation before, which seemed
Yeah, I think
odd.
if corporation obviously doesn't have governmental immunity, so intergovernmental agencies usually have the same type of immunity that they would each have individually.
The other thing I noted is that it's not just for emergencies, but it sounds like it's been quite rare when we've used it, or maybe we've never used it. So is there a reason why it's expanding to day, and what do the unions have to say about that? I'm sure they would like that.
Haven't heard from them on it.
Okay.
Right, yeah.
Necessarily ask them directly either, full disclosure. But, again, we have
One
not.
thing to offer mutual aid in an emergency and quite another, if you judge by electricity linemen, if you're doing it day to day.
Yeah, well, and the village, I mean, we wouldn't have the capacity to give on a day-to-day. basis,
Yeah,
you know?
right. It's
Yeah.
just an odd, I don't know. I don't have any concerns with it. It's just kind of an odd expansion. Seems like I'll be surprised to hear if lots of assistance is coming to fill potholes or something, you know.
Yeah.
I can't
Yeah, and that
imagine.
was one of the things they kind of said that you weren't supposed to do it. They'd be like, hey, we're just bogged down. Could you give us a hand? this
Yeah, right.
afternoon?" Right, that was one of the first things they told us we weren't supposed to do
No,
it
no,
the first time.
So I'm kind of surprised that they're saying that, but
Yeah, and maybe it's situational in different areas of the state, but here, I don't think organizations are set up to, I mean, like our knowledge of people using it has been very limited.
yeah, yeah. And the intent isn't to broaden it, I take it. We're
Yeah, like I said, we don't have the capacity to share at that level. And
Mhm.
Or under extreme circumstances,
Mhm.
and we will not ask of our peers unless it was extreme.
Yeah,
And I mean, we have certain, every town is different in how they're set up. As an example, that in July, I was crossing my wires, that 7-Eleven storm, I was 7-Eleven. But we had contractual relationships with group towns, collect that. Other communities don't, or everybody's agreements with their hauler, if they even have one. So we had different levers to pull.
I see.
So we're set up differently in different provisions for services.
Okay, thanks. Just curious. Thank you.
Any more questions to Jake or Drew on this matter? It is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you
We
very
should
much.
do a roll call on that.
Oh, okay.
All right,
Roll call.
roll call, recommended by Peter. Clerk, please call the roll.
All right, trustee Hatch,
Aye.
trustee Ryder,
Aye.
trustee Fisher,
Aye.
trustee.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Next is our trustees report. Do any trustees wish to make a report tonight?
No.
No report tonight. I made the mistake to look at trustees. So, thank you very much, guys. We do have a closed session. And, can you please help me on that?
It has to do with setting the price. Real estate transaction. Circular.
Setting the price of lands, okay?
Selling the price for the sale of village property.
Setting the price for the sale of village.
Do you have the citation in this?
No, I don't.
Some. C6. So you need a motion to go into closed session for the setting the sale of price for municipal property under section 2C6 of the Illinois Open Meetings Act.
2C6, okay.
So moved.
So may I have a motion to go into closed session for a purpose of discussing section 2C6 of the Illinois Open Meeting Act pursuant to the and upon the adjournment of this closed session, this regular meeting will be deemed to automatically be adjourned by the same vote without the conduct of any further business. Motion to go in session.
So moved.
Second,
Second,
Roll call vote.
this is a roll call.
Trustee Fisher, trustee Fried,
Aye.
trustee Hatch.
aye.
Trustee Ryder.
Aye.
Thank you very much. And this concludes the open part of the village board meeting. Thank you to anyone in attendance tonight and have a great evening.
1 second.